Bzz, don't hire Bernie on this one. He's not going to help you. All right.
No.
All right, well, we'll go on. Let's go. Lord, behind the next door.
I would actually file a motion to have her sentence increased if you want to know.
All right, behind door number 2, Jeff Brown. You're the next lawyer she's interviewing. Do you have any way to help her out?
Yeah, sure I do. First of all, she's going to go to a jail, not a prison. So I think we can eliminate all the prisons in the state of California. We should know the jail she's going to. If you practice in that area, you should know the jail facility, the people that are there. I would go to the local jail and talk to some of the people that are working in corrections and say, hey, what is the crowding? What's the situation going on right now?
That's what I'd do. I'd play the numbers.
How many beds do you have? And there are people that I could go to and ask that question. And once I know the numbers are there, she's going to turn herself in right away and hopefully do a day and be out.
You know, Jim, that's exactly what I do, which is why I asked Ramin the question about whether lawyers could do it.